Dun, 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 dun.
I do apologize I'm so late in covering this. As a Lord of the Rings fan, I should have probably been more on the ball. But better late than never. And it looks like a interesting Lord of the Rings game release. I mean, again, I don't know how many people were asking, like, we need a Gollum game, but okay. You got one from Daedalic Entertainment, who I've covered before, notably with I haven't covered too much of their stuff, but The Suicide of Rachel Foster. That was theirs, and that was a game that looked like it had a lot of artistic potential. But this game looks like it fits into the Lord of the Rings world. Again, for those of you who are familiar with the films, which is the point of entry that I came in through. Again, I haven't read the novels yet. I know, of course, they're classic books, and you should obviously read them. It's a schedule thing with me. I've just got so much catch up on. I have read the Hobbit book, though, but that was because it was part of a school assignment. And, the Hobbit movies, I've seen those too. They're great. I'm a big fan, though, of Lord of the Rings games. And maybe not, I can't say this, well, in spirit, I agree. But the point of reverence other people have for the Lord of the Rings franchise, notably people who attribute themselves, I would say, or maybe would be attributed as Tolkien purists, I share in, well, especially given the Amazon developments, I share in spirit with you. But I don't necessarily think I would be considered the best voice in that regard, considering, again, I've probably not spent as much time engaged with it by comparison. And there's a couple, well, again, I love the films. They're fantastic movies overall, just from a quality standpoint and the overall story and the reverence to the Lord of the Rings stories, I understand it. And again, I understand they tried to make that one as authentic as possible. I believe they took liberties with The Hobbit, though, didn't they? I think I remember that. At least, again, I read the book. Yeah, they did. But anyway, like I said, in spirit, I agree with you. Even though, again, as I'm about to say, maybe some people might feel a bit dissuaded from aligning with my position, because I'm kind of like, well, I like some of these extended stories that have been told through the Lord of the Rings mythos. Maybe, well, again, we'll get to some other future developments later, but for example, within the Lord of the Rings space, or in video games, this is how I entered the world. It was through, notably, the Lego Lord of the Rings video game, which is still such a classic game. I absolutely love it. I mean, the Hobbit one is good too, even though it did not feature the third movie, and it should have. It should have just waited. But anyway, the Middle-earth games. I absolutely love those. And again, I know because some don't consider that. I know it took some liberties with the story, and it's not considered canon by many. But I believe they tried to make it fit into the story. I still find those to be enjoyable games. They're fun on a gameplay perspective. And they are fun Lord of the Rings adventures, maybe even considering them in the mythos if you choose to approach it that way. So that's, again, the point of entry I came in, that the Lord of the Rings gaming world is pretty strong, albeit maybe if they take some story liberties. We'll see where, Gollum goes. I mean, I bring up the Tolkien thing, or the Tolkien purists, because I'm like, I wonder what their feelings on this would be. Like, because I don't know if this is rooted in the Lord of the Rings stories, and perhaps maybe chapters that haven't been told, well, have been told maybe through narrative. Well, again, I don't know the basis of it, and the general impression is that this is tied into the movies from a visual perspective and maybe on a story perspective. So, I don't know. I don't know how it's being treated. I think it'll probably be better released of than Amazon's developments of Lord of the Rings. Just, we'll get there. I think this will be a little more palatable for the majority of people. We're going to go ahead and watch this new sneak peek trailer as I update my way through more recent coverage, and we'll talk about more of my condensed review segment while I was watching the video together. Again, this game seems like it has a lot of potential. It looks like a Lord of the Rings game. It has the elements of the world, notably Mount Doom and Sauron. It's got Gollum, even though I will note, as I said in the previous trailer, his head looked a bit out of proportion in comparison to the movie Gollum we're familiar with. If you again, remember him, his head looked a bit too large. So I wonder if they kind of trimmed it down a bit for the movie, or for the game. Because again, it's been a couple months. Well, actually, it's been longer since that first promo. They could have refined it, but it looks slightly out of proportion to me. Without further ado, here we go. Just kind of inaccurate. But, alright, the rest of the game looked fine. For what we saw. Again, very brief. So you've seen some of the gameplay features depicted here. I'm not a big spider person. Are those like the Mirkwood spiders? Because those were... Yeah. Are those the wargs? Or maybe. Hey, it's got a cool build-up. Nice structures. I imagine there will be a lot of climbing. They still don't say how to enjoy the game in regard to the platform. that this is going to be releasing on. Maybe again, this was still being determined about 10 months ago. I mean, this was in the midst of like 2021. So that's when this trailer came out. So again, maybe they just were delayed. But, you know, familiar creatures, the wargs are here, the bats are here, or birds, I guess, I forget exactly which one, but Gollum, of course. I wonder again, like, is this going to play more, so, are we going to have, like, flashbacks, perhaps, of Smeagol? Maybe. I'm not exactly sure. But it has the Lord of the Rings world feeling, right? From the amber imagery to the fire to the underground areas where maybe the orcs are, Mount Doom. It should be an enjoyable chapter. So, again, I wonder what, you know, maybe I'll send this question out to you. For those of you out there that might consider yourselves Tolkien purists, and you might not necessarily like all the extensions if they take certain liberties with their stories in regard to to diverting from the tellings of Tolkien's works. What is your feeling on this game? I mean, again, a story perspective, maybe some future trailers give us a better glimpse at that. But look-wise, it fits the cinematic version of The Lord of the Rings, at least from the ones we're familiar with. Even though the spiders look slightly different from a looks perspective. Well, Gollum looks better too, though. I think my impression here... I said last trailer, it might have been just an angle thing in the framing, but Gollum looks better. So again, I wonder for you Tolkien purists, how do you feel about this? And maybe for general people like me who are like, well, maybe, I'm not Tolkien purist, but, I came in, maybe, like I'm saying, maybe came into it, from a different form, a different perspective. And you're kind of like, well, let's see, good Lord of the Rings story, hopefully. I don't know. Probably better than Amazon's. Let me know what your thoughts are down below. Let's state the obvious. Again, we'll get there. Don't forget all the good stuff for liking, subscribing to the show, and hitting that bell. Until we get to watch more from Gollum in the future, as I'm going to go through some more of the more recent coverage. I will see you guys at whatever point that happens to be. But for now, thanks for watching this video. I love you guys. Don't forget to love yourselves, your fellow man. God bless, and peace.